Now, the rest of the story.
Well, you gotta love projects that seem like they never get done. That's not the way to say it. It's just projects that seem like they drag on. And I just got back from getting more hardware. I thought I was done. And this is where I've ultimately gotten to on my bale feeder for my cows at Rockville here. It's slow going, but it's gradual going, I guess. I just got this guy on here this morning mounted. Got both of these posts put in. I'm gonna utilize wood posts that was already in place before I started this project. The only thing I need to do to it, granted the post isn't exactly straight as it stands, but I need to ratchet it back towards this one because it's actually curved a little bit. So that way I'm trying to get everything as straight as I really can. And we're getting there. Once we're done, which this side you can see all the posts are in, but I got to put one more row of the guardrail on. There'll be a 13-inch gap from this guardrail to the one that's above it. So that's approximately, it's the same distance that we have on the guardrail feeder out of my brother's place in the pole shed, and that's worked well for us for years and years. And approximately, you know, doing napkin math and just kind of quick measuring stuff, the top of the top guardrail will sit right at the top of these posts. I had these made at the local welding shop. They did a really good job on them, and they treated me really well on them, quite honestly, for what they are. I mean, they cut the existing posts that they had. It was just metal that they had on hand, and then they welded, stamped out 4 holes, and then welded the plates in the bottom. But I got 3 more total, but I have 2 more that I need to have put in to at least say this part of the project is done. Doing the post is the worst part, hands down. It took me an hour to drill out those 4 for that post right there. It's just, I'm actually drilling a smaller pilot hole and then drilling down the 5/8. It's hard concrete. Maybe I'm not heavy enough to push it down through the crete or what. I do know I was hitting rebar, so that added another level of difficulty that I just as soon not have to deal with. And this is where the end of it will be. I'm actually down here right now. I'm done working on it for today. 80 something degrees with the sun baking down on me. I just got other projects that I can work on, at least get in the shed, and it's already like 3 o'clock in the afternoon anyway. I got teeth I have to put on the roller bar rake, new wiring harness for the soybean head. I don't know if you guys have seen that, the pictures that Ryan had posted, but the reason the bean head wasn't floating and dial-o-maticing like it was supposed to be is because the mice had gotten up underneath the frame where the harness goes through and commenced to chew on it. Those series heads are known for having mouse issues on them because the coating of the harnesses on those generation of heads, they were getting away from using just the standard wire coating, and they were actually using a soy-based coating. Well, it's grain, and what do mice like to eat? And that's ultimately what happened. I don't know how it was even working last year for how damaged it was. But once I get this other guardrail in here, where I messed up, one of the bigger things I messed up on is my posts are actually too far apart. This should have been actually back like in here is where I should have ended up, but I ended up mounting the bottom one. It was all right, figuratively, but what I had to do was on this end one here, I come up short. I actually started measuring off of an extension because these are salvaged guardrail, And on some of the, like this one right here, this is the actual standard piece of guardrail, but then here's the extension that they cut off, and I had to go through and bolted it to my extension here to get me where I need to be. So it's a couple more feet longer than I intended. It's no big deal, other than the fact that it's just adding more steps to the process. Through here, it's wider than what we had with the silage bunk. This line right here and that line right there, between those lines is where the old silage bunk used to be. So yes, we are actually offset towards the barn more. We are still recessed back far enough away, the low spot where the water actually comes down from the gravel, and it actually runs down right along and around and then out to the pasture. You can see where the water goes. So we'll be good there. I mean, I don't have to worry about water coming up and getting into my hay. This should be about 8 to 10 bales. I haven't factored in or done the math on it yet. But ideally be able to feed more cows and easily. More trying to make it a little bit simpler to feed more cattle and make it more of a one-person job when it needs to be, at least. There are going to be gates on the end here, on each end. So like when I have smaller stock in here, like calves do tend to try to crawl through here, at least there'll be a gate on the end. I don't have to worry about them getting out to the free world. But then when I'm by myself, I can at least open the gate up and set bales in here. I don't have to worry about cattle rushing the gate trying to get out on me. It makes sense in my head. So I think we'll really like it. Ryan thinks we'll really like it. Ryan's actually already trying to figure out how we can put one in at his place, but concrete is the key. I don't think you can get away with doing one of these where you have concrete right here but no concrete that the cattle are on, because I've seen some that are set up like that, and then where it's just dirt where the cattle are eating off of, it just becomes a muck field, and you need a dry place where you can at least scrape all the muck, the dirt, manure off and get it cleaned up. So what I need to do here is what I'm planning on. I'm gonna have one more post left over. What I want to do is come down and factor in a 16-foot gate, which I think will work all right, because that's gonna put me, I'd say, somewhere down in here where we still got fairly decent concrete. I mean, I know you can't really see it from the camera, but the concrete, it actually does kind of taper off more as you get off of this platform here, because the old silage bunk came right here. We used to have a gate, a 16-foot gate right here and over, and it used to hang on that post. Well, the problem is, as you can see where I'm standing, these two posts are in the way, and the gate there, that's been there for centuries. Both those posts needs to get plucked out of there. I mean, they're starting to rot anyway. And what I'm leaning on is we're gonna come up here in line with that. I'll put a 16-foot gate in here. Probably, I think 16 feet is probably going to be somewhere in this general area with me just guesstimating it. And then I'd like to go straight over and meet that over there. I want the ability where I can actually fence in this smaller section around the water for steers or small stock or the bulls or something. I can make it into a third lot if necessary, or a smaller lot. I can put a bale feeder in here, and I can at least still have to put hay in that, but then it would allow me to open up the gate back here and then allow my cows to come in and eat on either side of this bunk if I got the majority of my cattle out there, which will make sense. I'll do a video on it once it's complete. I'm into it for right around $2,000. And I'd say for what we've done so far, I think we're sitting really good. The only thing that's kind of a question mark, it'll be the gates I put on the end. If I can't find some find some gates, that'll work. Otherwise, I have to go buy them. And then I'm planning on putting board wood fence on either end of this again. And like Dad says, make it a solid board fence, at least on half of it. So I got something to push the manure up into to scoop it out. Also, this being a bigger area, easier to turn around with the deer steer, because the 763 Bobcat of my grandpa's that used to be up here and we used to use to scrape the slot up, was a much smaller machine. It was the size of the 773. But being up at the main farm, the deer steer is going to be the primary machine that services this up here. I need to go through and just set this up. I just don't know if I'm going to get to it. I got stuff I want to work on, and I really intended on being done with this by now. So my short goal is to get the heavy lifting done through here. If I'm going to go through and put that last post in through here, I'm going to, just because I already got my stuff out, and I mean, doing 4 more holes and at least setting a post up for that, because I need this moved, because my whole intentions are being able to open this gate up, you know, this figurative gate here, open that up, and then after I feed 3 or 4, 5 times, whatever, you know, when you make hay, you always get something that the cattle aren't going to eat, aren't going to want to chew on. I'll be able to open the gate up, come in with the bucket on that end, and then push all of that yuck, just the whatever material the cows don't want, and push it into a pile or push it out into the bed pack. Because the way I'm figuring right now, the manure pile stays approximately where it is. I could actually shift my bedding pack to where the bale feeders are right now. Doesn't mean I'm getting rid of the bale feeders, quite honestly. I'll set them aside, you know, so they're there. But one of the big perks to doing this is if I can put 8 to 10 bales in here and then go and put another 3 bales in the bale feeders out there. Ideally in the busy season, you know, planting, haying, and harvest, I don't have to worry about, you know, putting bales in for very, very long distances of time, which would be nice. I mean, just walk out, walk through them quick, make sure nobody's, you know, down and out or laying with all 4 legs up in the air. But I'm trying to set this up so I can actually put XYZ amount of cattle in here and comfortably take care of them and not have to worry about being told that it's overstocked. There's too many cattle out here, because if I give them the use of the pasture, you know, for loafing area, whatever else, 100% of the time, which I got the fences sprayed off, so there's nothing for them to reach through to get to reach for and destroy the fence. I got 60 cows out there right now. I'd say my soft goal, I mean, it's flexible, but about 100. If I could do about 100 out here, I want to put something in for shelter, of course, but being able to feed them reasonably and not causing yourself a lot of excess stress trying to keep feed in front of them all the time. Because right now we're going through a bale, about not quite a bale a day, and with 3 feeders we're feeding about every 3-4 days. So yeah, it makes sense in my head. I think it'll be nice. Running the cattle through the chute this summer, that wasn't enjoyable, but having this in, we can put this as a holding area and then run them back out through here and set up a chute however we need to or feel we need to. And I would also like to come over here where mom's sheep are, and actually put in a board fence approximately right where mom's sheep are. She's got the wire panels around it right now, but I can go through and put like a 5-board fence around it to keep them in, and that way mom can use it like this anyway, but then I have another extra holding area. Like if I need to sort something out, like I want to haul them out to pasture, or if we're going to be sorting them out to sell them, that would be a perk. And a board fence, something I don't have to worry about the cows walking through, is something that is what I'd like to do. I'm also looking at, because these gates aren't as high as I'd really need them to be, if they can get their head over them, they'll try to jump them. So I'm actually looking at this. There's enough of these posts here that I actually may go through and get some 2x6s and put a row of 2x6s across the top, just to deter them from wanting to jump it. But we're getting this lot fixed up to the way I really like it. I'm getting really happy with it. I mean, this year was going to be kind of a tight year regardless, because of me buying the 30 head of cattle that I did on top of the cattle that I already have. Get them paid off, which I'm essentially looking at pretty well just paying them off immediately. That way the calves that are being produced next year, my first real group of calves, is, I don't want to say free and clear, because it won't be 100% free and clear, because I'll have bills and expenses I'll need to put it towards, but multiple sources of income. And that's really why I'm setting myself up with cattle like I am, having a place to feed them. I got the feed, generally I have the feed, and being able to feed them efficiently is going to be a big perk. But I'm going to pick my stuff up and I'm going to go work in the shed the rest of the day.